Welcome to Real Talk, the accountability series. I'm Dr. Teresa A. Smith, Dr. Taz, and my co-host is Angelia T. Smith. Real Talk is presented by DQ Consulting, LLC, empowering individuals and businesses to grow with clarity and confidence. Last week, we discussed how what we avoid addressing is not because we don't understand it, but because we choose not to. Can I ask you something? This is for the audience, and I know folks are coming in. Thank you for joining us over on IG. No Lasting Girl. Hopefully, I'm saying it correctly. Thank you for joining us. I want a little audience participation. So, my first question is this. Don't answer me now. Answer yourself. Have you ever convinced yourself that you were waiting when deep down you knew you were avoiding? It can be by anything. Have you ever called fear wisdom? You ever called procrastination patience? And have you ever called comfort peace? Well, today we're going to challenge the stories we tell ourselves, because sometimes the biggest lie you ever believed is the one you repeated the longest. Bless you.
Yeah. Well, can I be honest?
Please do.
Well,
The safe
first of
space.
all, you guys wasn't even going to see me tonight. Because when I woke up this morning, I had no voice. All day at work, I've been. And for those of you that know me in my real life, know that when I don't have these vocals over here, that means I'm not taking care of me. So now that I have the vocals because I've been resting, I said, okay, so obviously this is a topic that hit home that I'm obviously supposed to really talk about and share. So when you told me what we was going to be talking about, I immediately started thinking, well, I know this isn't about me. But then I realized I've told myself numerous times, I'll do it next month. I just need more time. I'm just waiting until everything settles down. And then suddenly I realized maybe I've been believing the stories too.
Well, thank you for feeling comfortable sharing that with us, and that's why we're here. Welcome to Real Talk, the Crack Check. Now, every week we start with one question. Today's crack check is simple. Finish this sentence. I keep telling myself. If you're watching us live, put it in the comments. I keep telling myself. Wherever you are listening, answer it honestly in your own mind, because I don't want you to be left out of this revelation that we get into. I keep telling myself, I'm going to leave this relationship. I keep telling myself I need to get a haircut. I need to find a new manicurist. What do you keep telling yourself? Thank you, Braxton Didi, for joining us over on IG. Why do we repeat the same thoughts? Because that's why I said, ask the question, why do we keep telling ourselves? Because this is about the stories that we tell ourselves. So why do we keep repeating the same thoughts? How does repeating the thoughts become our beliefs? Because what does the scripture say? So as a man speaketh.
Yeah.
So I butcher scripture in a minute, y'all, but you know the scripture I'm talking about. Because if we believe it, or if we're saying it constantly, vice versa, or whichever versa, it's going to sink into our DNA. It's going to sink into our souls. So how do beliefs become our identity? Well, because we speak in life. Remember, life and death is in the tongue. So if I keep saying, I keep telling myself this, that nobody else will want me. I can't find another man. I can't find another woman, whatever it is. If I keep telling myself, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because, again, we're speaking life into that. And that sometimes keeps us stuck where we are, which then it becomes our identity. And then once it's our identity, it shapes all our decisions. Because you see, I believe a certain way. Mama would say, we done bought that cover story. So everything that I do after that is to reinforce the cover story.
True, 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 true. But the thing that I don't understand is different people, different lives, but it's the same story. I'm not enough. I'm too old. I'm too late. I'm waiting. Like we said, always the bridesmaid, but never the bride. When is it going to be my turn? My time to shine. Why are you waiting for an opportunity for someone else to give you that opportunity? Why are you not seizing the moment, as they say, and creating your own opportunity?
Well, because fear speaks a universal language. It's a language that we all understand. And so therefore, I'm speaking it. And when you've spoken it so long, it's second nature. You don't even realize what you're doing. And so also we can't forget that misery loves company. So why am I always a bridesmaid and never the bride? I say that around enough people who also have been the bridesmaid and never the bride. We got a whole tribe, and that whole tribe is reinforcing these stories we tell ourselves, which sometimes these stories keep us stuck in the quicksand that we're in. I just want to let you guys know that this segment is brought to you by Irene Baxberg, who shares her journey from years of pain to finding real relief and now inspires thousands daily. Follow Irene Baxberg on Instagram. Find her at GotHealth_VAKSBERG Baxberg. But as I said, the fear speaks a universal language. But at the same time, we were not born believing that. We're born into the world. We believe, think about it, when we were young kids, we were fearless. We could do anything. We knew we were enough, but somebody taught us that, and maybe they didn't mean to do it, but could have been our parents. It could have been a teacher that said something that made us feel like we weren't enough. It could have been a relationship or relationships. It could be failure. It could be that we've gotten the habit of comparing ourselves to other people. It could be social media. We look at everybody and everybody looks like they're living the best life ever. And then you look at your life and it's like, well, I ain't even had a life. The question isn't who planted the seed. The question becomes for us is, why are you still watering it? Because we've all been in relationships, whether you like men, you like women, whatever you like. Let's just talk romance, right, for a moment. We've all been in those relationships, and every now and then you'll get somebody. The only thing they can do to bring you down, they gotta attack you from a romantic perspective, slash your self-esteem. Now we got two choices. There might be some other choice, but I'm gonna say two choices. You can believe that Negro and let it take a seed in your heart and in your mind, or you can tell that Negro, you know what to tell him. Because I'm not gonna let you pollute my mind. I'm more than enough. God doesn't make mess. I'm more than enough, and I'm not gonna sign off on your insecurities that then become my insecurities. And then you know what happens once it becomes my insecurity. I'm watering it. I'm just constantly watering. And then I'm like, why am I here? Because I bought into it.
It's funny that you mentioned the who planted the seed and then why are you still watering it? Because then I would really ask the question, do you even realize that you're still watering it? Do you even realize that there was a seed planted? Or again, is this your story that woe is me. This is the life that I've lived. These are the repercussion of the choices that I've made. And, there can be nothing better. Like I have, and I hope they don't see this, but yeah, I have a friend, love them dearly, love them, love them, love them, love them. And I was joking with them and I made a comment. And their response to me was like, basically like, I'm broke. And then there's like some other stuff to say too. And I'm like, why do you keep saying that? Right? Like, what do you mean you're broke? Now, in that context, I knew exactly what they meant, right? But fast forward, as I kept replaying the conversation, I started thinking, you are broke. Mm-hmm. But it's not broke from the standpoint of finances. Yes, you are financially challenged. However, you have spoken that on yourself for so many years that you don't realize that you are a broken person. Mm-hmm. So therefore, yes, we have to be mindful of the things that we say because the tongue is very powerful. Mm-hmm. And even though I didn't go in deep with that person, because again, I thought about this days later, it just goes to show that we are the reason sometimes why things are happening to us because we have spoken them things over our lives that are not true. It's okay to be financially challenged. You're not broke, okay? Mm-hmm. Even if you got 2 cents in your pocket, you still got money. Now, of course, would you like to have more than that? Absolutely. We all would. But as long as you have something, you're not broke. As long as you have a song in your heart, you're not broke. As long as you have love in your heart, you're not broke. So sometimes the people who hurt us, maybe they've healed, maybe they haven't, maybe they moved on. Some of them definitely be forgotten because you can tell someone. If you've been following us, I have my church drama. And, it's amazing how people have forgotten the trauma that they caused. Mm-hmm. But yet it happened, right? It happened. And yet we're still carrying the words they spoke years later. Now, for me, I'm not because I've moved on. Because as I've gotten older, mature, and my big old age, as Alexis would like to say, I've realized that if you keep living long enough, sometimes those people that have done you wrong, they mistreated you, they scandalized your name. As Teresa would say, there's a reckoning coming. And you'll see that I now understand why they're going through what they're going through over there. Even though they don't understand why they're going through what they're going through. Maybe you need to do some reflection and think about what is it that you've done over your lifetime. How did you treat people that wasn't bothering you? And perhaps, maybe with them chickens, them cows, them hogs, or whoever, they coming home to roost.
Well, Anja, you said a lot there, and I know the friend that you're talking about. And I want to say you went with money, and perhaps that's what they were talking about at that moment. But when somebody says they're broke, because that's not what I thought about. I thought about brokenness, meaning, because I know the person that you're talking about, so I'm sure they won't talk about money. They were talking about money that time.
They were talking about money, but the reflection after the fact, when the conversation was no longer flowing, I then realized, yes, you are broke as far as your financial status, but no, you are broken.
Yes, because I know the person you're talking about. And they're broken. And so therefore, even for them to say, I want y'all to work with me because I do know this person. It's like I did with, my laptop broke. it broke, y'all. For those who didn't know, my laptop broke. I got to buy a new laptop. They putting it together for me right now because I use that laptop for work. So I have to have a laptop. And so the laptop, when I talked about it, I talked about the fact that sometimes we see a manifestation on the outside, but it reflects who we are on the inside. And given the fact that I know who this person is, I love them dearly, but they operate from a space of brokenness in the different aspects of their life. And then what I'm hearing is now they talking about their finances broke. Well, their finances may be broke, but they really talking about their own brokenness because they don't deal with their real brokenness, which is their life and how things go and what's not going. And they're afraid to shift in some areas, probably afraid to shift in all the areas because they haven't shifted yet. And this person is in their 40s and they've yet to shift. And, before we look up, they'll be in their 60s, because time goes so fast. So it's interesting that she was talking about broke as in money, but that was a manifestation of what she is actually dealing with or not dealing with every day of her life for like the last 20 some years. And so my thought was, this person, and we do it too, guys, because I'm not throwing shade on her. And thank you so much for joining us, Chocolate Pudding 54 and Well Kept Chick. I'm not throwing shade on her because I do it all the time too. It may not be to that extent, but I try not to. She has let one chapter become her whole entire story. So the initial chapter could have been a man. I don't know what it was. It could have been her family enabling her. And then that then spilled over to her personal relationships and so on, and her work and this and all of this type stuff. But the bottom line is she got one storyline. And that storyline now has taken root and it runs throughout her whole life. She functions from brokenness in every aspect of her life. And she's not happy. But when she goes to get quote unquote real help, she snows the therapist. That ain't the word I want to use. What's the word I want to use? Not snows them, but that's what it means. She plays the therapist, but she playing herself because she not doing what she needs to do, and she telling them XYZ, and she paying the money, and she ain't getting nowhere. So again, the question becomes, what label are we still carrying that no longer belongs to you? Now, I mentioned in the same video about my laptop that I know my crap. And the label that I am carrying is I was sexually abused at the age of 4. There was a certain system, defense mechanism that I put in place. It was my support system. It was my defense mechanism, and I enacted it. And that is how I have done everything in my life. Well, I'm now in my 50s. That don't work for me anymore because what it's doing now is before it protected me. It helped me to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve. It protected me. But you see, now it's hurting me. So what are you trying to say, Taz? I'm very focused on what I'm doing. So I'm going to work hard at it. Da, 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 da. Well, that's fine when I was 20 or 16. I'm in my 50s. I cannot work like that anymore. As I talked about the doctor, I don't know if it was with you, Anjay, or when it was about my eyes, and she kept saying, "You're not that age anymore." And I'm like, it's just never come like this. And she kept saying to me, "You're not that age anymore." And the white intern, when she walked out, because it was a white female doctor, he tried to smooth it up because he knew I didn't like it. But I got it after the fact. I'm not that young age anymore. I'm not in my 20s. I'm not in my 30s. I'm not in my 40s. So the way my body responded then, it don't respond that way now. And I have to understand that I have to shift. And so for me, that label of you can get it done and you're gonna get it done and you're gonna get it done when you want to get it done. Well, that'll put you in the grave. And I'm telling you, it'll put you in the grave. Everything done cracked here. Well, not everything. A lot of things done cracked. you don't know one of them, Jay. You know, my squash got too big. I'm just telling you, I'm not gonna make a video about this. My squash got too big. Then, you know, I had my watch crack. I dropped it on the floor in the middle of the night because I was going downstairs. I was gonna take a shower. I had been working all night. I had to buy a new watch. Then, you know, my laptop, I did that video I put out today, you know. When I took it yesterday, they told me that it's something broken on the inside. And then they looked up what year it was. You know, it's only 5 years. They said that they don't even have them parts no more. And even if they had the parts, it was going to take them 2 weeks to fix it at least. And they would have to ship it out. I don't have 2 weeks because I have to have a laptop. You know, that people came and pumped a septic tank today. You don't know that about that. You and your mom, I can't with Miss Gloria. She said, you know, like when stuff starts happening, like it just starts happening. People loud stuff. They had to pump the septic tank. I'm just like, and then they told me XYZ and XYZ. I'm like, oh, I don't have $100. I said, but I'm gonna put y'all on my wish list though, because it really needs risers because they had to dig it up. And that means if they have to come back, they're gonna have to dig it up again. And I really need to have risers. And the people that know what I'm talking about, y'all know what I'm talking. I don't know what it looks. Anyway, they wouldn't be digging. They'd be able to just open up something and put the hose down there and pull out stuff. But then the guy said something about, well, the way they laid your pipe, that was supposed to be higher. The first pipe leading out the house is supposed to be higher. And then that second pipe goes low. Well, mine is the reverse. The first pipe coming out the house is low, and then the second one is higher. That's going on out in that field. But then the other man said, but as long as it's working, it's working. Again, a crack in the empire. Now, that didn't have nothing to do with me physically, but it's still a manifestation. And the funny thing is, what I thought about with this over the last 6 days, when I've been looking at all these things happening, we often think, well, it's bad luck, or somebody's wishing me not good, whatever.
Yeah.
No, I need to sit my, you know what, down. Because everybody is telling me I got a problem. Not every little part, but the parts of the house letting me know. I don't need nothing else to let me know. Please, Jesus. Please. Because I can tell you, once we're done, my goal is to sit it down tonight. I don't need anything else telling me that I got a crack. Because again, I know it. You guys are just watching me in real time deal with my crack. But again, what are the labels that we still carry? I'm still carrying that Superwoman label, but I really didn't realize it was a Superwoman label that was insulated, didn't need anybody, which means if you don't need anybody, because I couldn't rely on people because they weren't there when I was being sexually abused. So I'm not going to rely on people, which means then you never have a support system that you allow to help you. That's a problem. I'm not 8, 9, 10, 16, 25, 30 no more. You know, it be a bit much to try to do all of that. So, you know, again, you know, no teaching, no fixing, just honesty. You know, I want you guys to imagine that your best friend is living like you. They're living just like you living. And you know how you living. You ain't got to tell me, but you know how you living. The same excuses, the same fears, them same delays, them same stories that, you know, we be telling ourselves. What advice would you give them? Your best friend, your BFF. They coming with all that same BS, excuses, fears, delays, same old story. New day, same old so-and-so. What advice would you give them? Now, why haven't you taken your own advice? Ooh,
I mean, you really stepping on some toes, honey. You said Lord Teresa done crossed all boundaries. She's talking about Negro and everything. See, that's the hard part. You know, the easy part is telling you what's wrong with you. And let me help you, right? The hard part is me actually having to take my own advice. Because we're too busy extending grace to everyone else, and we don't extend grace to ourselves. And it's funny because I was having this conversation with one of my friends, and we was talking about spiritual gifts. And I was like, girl, you had asked me the question, And then I responded back to you, but then you never answered my question.
Oh, yeah.
So she was like, "Oh well, oh okay, sorry." Like I was talking to other people, and like people just wasn't really providing the answer that she was looking for. So we're talking, and I'm saying like, "Oh, so when you did that, like I did this assignment, and this is what I discovered for me, and and I can kind of see like this for you." And again, right, like not necessarily like the entire same story, but similar stories.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, look, we are our own worst enemy.
Mhm.
And the thing is, we don't need anyone to tell us about us because we already know about us. And the thing is, because we already know about us, it's hard to deal with us. So, of course, it would be nice to be able to use your spiritual gifts on self or for self, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not how God designed it.
Mm-mm.
Because I'm telling you, I do great things for other people.
Well,
But I can't say that I then can turn it around and have that same success for myself. And I've always wondered why, right? But then again, as I stated, I realized that, again, the gifts that we were born with, that some chooses to use, because we all have them. We all have them. And it's more than just a gift of gab. Because I know people are like, oh, it's more than just a gift of gab. Like, you got more than that, okay? And some of you don't even have that. But it's more than that. You have to realize that, one, you're being blessed as a result of how you choose to use those gifts. And you have a choice, right? You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. For those of us that are not using it the way that we're supposed to be using it, it comes right back on us and it bites us. So it's okay to extend grace to everyone else, but you really got to start extending that grace to yourself too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's okay to be hard on yourself, but you also need to lighten up on yourself too. Because life is hard. It's not easy. It's challenging. You're going to have good days, bad days. You're going to have days where you just want to just tell people to go have a happy landing. And then you're going to be like, well, I can't say that. I'm thinking it, but I can't say it. And so, grace, right? When you do that, just be easy on yourself. It's a way of, yes, what'd you say, self accusation or self awareness?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's okay to recognize those flaws. It's okay to even recognize the labels that people are telling you that you are and that you have, right? It's okay. But at the end of the day, understand that there's nothing wrong with challenging yourself with that same honesty. There's nothing wrong with doing a deep dive because as I told someone this week, no one should be able to tell you about you that you don't already know.
And you're right, Angelia. And no, because like I said in the video that y'all ain't got to tell me, I know my cracks. People say, "Ooh, your eyes." Oh, I know. But sometimes they be looking worse than what they are. It just beats the camera. But I know because when I'm tired, my eyes are gonna look weak. Sometimes they're gonna be red, and it's like there's not a thing I can do about it. It scare you sometimes, but it's nothing I can do about it. Um, what I would say though is, as you said, we've got to give ourselves grace, even though we're the person that's standing between where we currently are and that breakthrough. It's not another person. If me, oh Lord, standing in need of prayer, but it's not my mama, not my dad, not my sister, it's me, oh Lord. It's me. I'm the person that's there. But because it's a way of thinking, it's a way of operating, we've told ourselves these stories, we just can't turn it off like that. It's not a speak it. or whatever. Y'all know what I mean by speaker. It's not like the sink you turn on water. It just and turn it off. It doesn't work that way. So I challenge you to stop defending though what's destroying you, whether it's a person or it's a story you're telling yourself. We have to stop defending it. Like I said, I got to change my whole way of thinking. I've been thinking this way for 40 some years, so it's going to take a lot to get me out of that. But I know that, and I'm working on it. But it's going to take a lot because it protected me so long. Now it doesn't protect me. Now it's harming me. And so I have to get to that place where I can consciously think every moment of the day, everything that I do. I'm going to have to ask myself, are you operating from your old way of thinking? Or is this your new way? Are you operating from your old defense mechanism? Or are you operating for the new defense mechanism, the one that you want to have that takes you into your 90s? And thank you so much, Heredia 325, for joining us. Please forgive me if I mispronounce it. And Anne-Marie J. Harper, thank you for joining us over on IG. And also stop explaining. Because we ain't got to explain it. Because you think about it, the more we explain, we spend more time explaining versus doing. We need to be doing it instead of giving life to that story, because the more we talk about it, we just bring it right on into the future with us. And, and which means we're being loyal to that pain. We're being loyal to that old identity because it's familiar. So we got to just cut it off. Cut off the head of the snake. Transformation begins when honesty becomes greater than our comfort. And that means giving grace, as you were saying, Angelia. So guys, remember this sentence to me. I'm an old school counselor. I'm retiring the story that says blank. I am retiring the story that says blank. I ain't good enough. I'm too ugly. I'm blind. I'm heavy. I'm fat. I'm skinny. I don't have a nice bosom. My bottom not good. Whatever. I don't do my job well. Whatever it is. I don't drive that type of car. I don't live in this zip code. Whatever it is, we're going to retire that stuff. Because we're not going to let that become a crack in our empire anymore. Everything we've talked about today is exactly why I wrote Cracks in the Empire. Desmond is this handsome Black man, but this isn't really, this ain't about Desmond. He trapped by his circumstances, just like we all are. And so I wrote it because I wanted us to be able to see ourselves in someone else without us being defensive. Because when we start, unpacking our own stuff, it's so easy to get defensive. But when you're watching somebody else's story unfold, or you're reading someone else's story unfold, it's like, oh, he went through that too. That sort of sounds like something I did. It's more palatable. We're able to take it better. And so that's the reason why I wrote the story. He believes that protecting his image is more important than anything. That's important to him. So he'll do anything to protect his image. But lots of times, some of us are the same way. We'll do anything to protect the outside that people see, because we think if they know something is different, they may not think as well of us. And so that means we keep telling ourselves those stories. But really, his story is ours.
And that's what makes this book so different. You're not just reading about someone else's story, you're actually really reading about yourself, right? So you're reading it until you recognize that Desmond is you. In this particular book, Desmond is a male, but Desmond is all of us.
All of us.
Male, female, Black, white, you name it. Okay? He's all of us. So therefore, this journey is hard. This journey is stressful.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fun. You're going to have your good days and bad days. But at the end of the day, you're going to come out on the other side if you do the work.
Lord Jesus, that word. Talking about do that work, Angela. You do the
That
work.
work. I'm not gonna stop saying do that work. You gotta do that work. I tell them at work, do that work. Gotta do
Okay.
the work.
Well, don't go to work because that's a whole nother thing. We'll have to go offline because you probably get to saying some stuff that might be detrimental. But
I
you're
know.
right. If today challenged you, continue the journey. Cracks in the Empire, What You Refuse to Face Can Break You. It's going to release on July 24th. It's available for pre-order right now on Amazon. Here's your challenge for the week. Okay. Every time you catch yourself saying, I can't. You may not say it exactly like that. It may be a feeling. I'm waiting. It's too late. I'm not ready. Well, they said.
Yeah.
I want you to stop and ask yourself one question. One question, guys. Is this the truth or is this the story? Because people will make you feel like you are not enough, that you don't have any skills whatsoever. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. Been there recently. They'll make you feel like you're not qualified for anything. That's the story. And we have to consciously realize what's happening. It's like programming, to not let it seep in, and then we act based upon the story that they dishing out. So write it down. Then ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this story is true? Now you have to look at it real close because you might start writing some stuff down. Then you got to look at that. Do I have actual proof that that is true, or is that part of the story? And now I'm writing the story down like it's facts. How can you dispute it? If you can dispute it, you take that off the list. And then you tell yourself you're not going to believe that anymore. Because we have to talk to ourselves. This is real talk. Real talk. We'll be doing other real talk, but this is real talk because you have to actually handle yourself. And you can't always handle yourself with kid gloves. You got to speak life into you. And that's different for different phases in our life and different things that we're enduring. So yeah, if you got the facts to dispute it, you take that off the list. Because transformation doesn't happen because you watch the show now, guys. Transformation begins when you choose differently after it ends. Now, before we leave, are you ready for some real talk? You ready for some real talk, Angelia?
No.
You're not ready.
No,
You got
no.
to face the crack. Come on now, you got to face the crack.
I've been facing cracks all day, mine and others. I don't want to face it anymore for today. Check back in with me tomorrow.
Well, the crack was never the problem, honey. Ignoring it was. And I don't want to say that because you've been facing them all day. So that says that they've ignored a whole lot of cracks. And now them cracks is impacting your ability to do your job the way you want to do your job. But that's a story for another time. I'm sure other people can understand what I'm saying, but I'm not saying because, we don't want them to have no evidence because this would be factual evidence. But next Tuesday, guys, we're asking what may be the most important question of the entire series. Janet Jackson said, control. Who's really in control? Who's really in control? Are your decisions being driven by fear, people pleasing, pride, past pain, hurt, comfort, or purpose? And understand purpose change because there are many purposes in our lives. And purposes change too because we're constantly evolving. And sometimes you'll be slave to a purpose that no longer serves you. Y'all think about it. Hey, Mama, thank you for joining us. You'll be slave to a purpose that doesn't even serve you anymore, but people will play you because they know you enslaved to that purpose. What I mean by people will play you, they'll have you doing all they stuff, whatever it is they want. You'll do it freely because you're enslaved to an old story. That story is not part of your life anymore. But we don't want to let it go. Gotta let it go, babe. Let it go. So again, what are our decisions being driven by? Because if someone or something else is holding the pen, the pen is mightier than a sword.
Yeah.
They're writing your future. You're not writing your future. They are writing your future. And let me tell you something, baby gal. They writing your future based upon what they want, not what's best for you and what you want. I don't care who they are, because it's human nature. They're writing the future that they want for you, not the future that you want. So join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring someone who needs this conversation. Until then, we need to choose truth, accountability, and transformation. And remember, before you go trying to take care of someone else, please make sure you do what, Angelia?
Take care of you.
Take care of you first. Bye now. Thank you guys so much for joining us on IG and those who have joined us over on YouTube and LinkedIn and I think Facebook. We'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye now.
Bye.